mindset is that I'm now operating as a professional. I'm a creative, I'm a producer, I'm a strategist, I'm a copywriter. So this is your opportunity to start taking on that persona of a professional. So forget the fact that yes, you did don't forget you did a degree, obviously well done, congratulations. But at the same time, now is the time to start to fine tune those and hone in on those presentation skills, on that ability to tell your story, so that you're actually using this as a stepping stone to becoming the smartest, best version of you in a professional capacity. Yeah? This is your chance. This is the place where you make mistakes right now, in the next 6 weeks. Obviously, you don't make too many mistakes in the submission because you get marked on it. But this is the time to ask all those questions, to, if there's any uncertainty, to fine tune, so that by the time you finish my module, because my aim is to turn you into the best version of yourself. So that's why I will challenge you. That's why I will sometimes push you, that little bit further. But that's because, one, you're postgrad, so my expectations are higher in terms of what you can do. And also, you've got skills here that you probably are not shouting about enough. Not in a kind of egotistical, look at me, I'm amazing way. It's more a case of, this is what I can do. And this is how I can help you, brand X clients, perform better. So that's my thing. Yes, sorry.
Okay, that's fine. So I'm looking at part 8, the analysis part of the assignment. And I'm speaking from the lens of an entrepreneur. We spoke about this last Wednesday. So say I want to, like I said, I want to go into jewelry business. I want to start jewelry. So you say research latest trends specifically related to recruitment. Who's recruitment? I would like to know, sorry.
So if you are focusing down the entrepreneurial, I've got a business route, and you're not looking to get employed, then the people who would buy into your services, that's your target audience. Your target audience are the people that you would ultimately sell to, who would buy your jewelry. So if it's the wholesalers or the buyers, that's your target audience. So you need to work out who are the people that you have to promote your wares and services in order for them to make a decision. Yeah? Yes.
Yeah, speaking about the plan, you have the analysis, the plan, and the implementation. The plan is how you intend to promote yourself for a period of time, right?
Part of. Yeah, so come finish your question and I'll come back.
Okay, I just wanted to know, is there a time frame for it? Like say in 12 months, in 9 months, or 6 months?
So you create your digital marketing strategy. Yeah, this is the big overarching idea. This is what I'm going to do. So that has to have KPIs, or smart objectives. Yeah, so that's kind of saying this is my strategy. This is a high level view, and I'm going to achieve this by doing this, this, and this. Those need to be smart. Yeah, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timely. So each of those. How do you know whether it's a success? How are you going to prove whether it was a success or not? By having KPIs, key performance indicators. You may have X number of connections, you want to take it to another level. What's that number? That's a specific KPI. You either hit that number or you don't. This number of followers, I want to increase it to X. If you hit that number, you've made it. If you haven't, you're on track. Depends how you describe it. So that's your kind of overarching. But to achieve that strategy, there are a list of objectives. And those objectives you would outline in a 12-month chart, a Gantt chart. So these are the things I'm going to do. This is when I'm going to do them. This is how I'm going to do them. And then you talk us through your Gantt chart. Because what you're essentially saying is, I've done my analysis, that's informed my thinking, here's my plan, this is how I plan to execute it, and then you move into your present implementation. So this section is worth 25 marks. So you're going to be asking yourself, what do I need to do in order to get those 25 marks, or as many of those 25 marks as possible? Well, what you would do, as a natural step, would be to go to the bottom of this document and look at plan, and you would look at this section and you would read it, see that it's asking for certain things, and there you go, right? So everything you need to do to answer that planning section is right there. Well, like I said, we're interested in your thinking, your rationale. Why would you do and choose what you do? So it's about telling your story. Yes, you are improving your storytelling skills through this presentation. Clear? I know I'm going to keep on asking, is that clear? But I have to, because if it's not, I need to press it. Yes?
Regarding competitors, are we supposed to compete with each other? And if so, what if we're not doing competitors with each other? How would that work?
Then you need to identify who you're competing against. So the first part of that question, if usually the people that you're, if you're a videographer or editor or sound engineer, whatever you're planning on doing, then usually it's the people around you on your course. They be competing for the same type of jobs as you. So what you need to be focusing on is what type of jobs or space am I looking to operate in, and who am I competing against? And your research would identify who you're competing against.
In this room as well? If that makes sense.
In this room, people who are on similar courses at different universities, people on LinkedIn doing, who through your research you've identified doing similar jobs that you want to be in or looking to get into that space. If you're a freelancer, what are your services? Who are you up against? Who are you selling to? And who are you competing for that business? 10. There's 10 competitors that you but read the document and it'll tell you exactly what you need and how to do it. But does that answer your question in terms of competition? Okay, so what do you want to do?
Did you say 10?
Yeah, I think it says on here, in terms of competition. So I think about your answer because I'm coming back to you. Somewhere it lists the number of competitors. So in the break I'll have a look. I've realised that we've got so much to get through and we're going to run out of time. So it is 10, yeah, and it's somewhere in here. If you know which page, let me know. Well, you just have a look while I'm doing the question. Oh, yeah. There we go. Okay, so back to your question. How would you describe what you do? Film. Which aspect of film?
Mostly in management, so
Business management. Oh, production management. Okay. So what skills do you have already to get you into that kind of role as an production manager?
I've done mainly, I've worked more than like freelancing people in marketing, creating photography, so
Excellent.
that's the area.
So you understand different aspects of that process. Okay, so these are the things that you would tell your story around in terms of building confidence in the people who would make those decisions in hiring a production manager. Yeah. So who are you competing against then as part to get that type of role?
I guess the freelancers or others who are in training themselves.
Yeah, yes, obviously, absolutely. So, but not just that, other students who haven't even got your experience who are trying to get in there, okay? Because what do we know about the media industry? What is so, so it's been happening for decades, yeah? It's nepotistic, yeah? There's a lot of nepotism in the media industry. You know someone, you get in. You get a break because your mom and dad know someone, or they're not a director. Yeah, so how do you, if your mom and dad are not a director of a company or a brand or an organizer or a client of those companies, how are you going to compete against that? The only way you compete against that is to create, such a shit hot profile that takes advantage of algorithms and profiles so that when people are searching, because you know that over 72% of recruiters and hirers are going online to look for talent. Yeah, if they're searching for talent, if your sites are not optimized, if they're not speaking the right language that the search engines are looking for, using keywords, then you don't feature. So there's a lot of things we have to come up against. Yeah, so this is the whole purpose of us now thinking about our profiles and thinking about, okay, how do I put myself in that best place? Who do I know? How can I improve my connections? How can I better my chances to get where I'm? And this is for everyone, by the way. We're competing against a lot of people, and especially freelancers who then decide to think, well, actually, freelance is great, but I'd like a regular income. Then there's a lot of people who will be going for those type of jobs. In fact, I even know freelancers who apply for jobs, not with the intention to get the job, but to get through the door, to have the conversations, to meet the right people, hoping that they probably will get turned down, at least they've made connections there, and then they build on that. So it's just really kind of interesting how you can do that. So you've got to think about what is it that I'm trying to, who am I up against? Who am I up against to be able to get that role? And only you know that. And only your research.
In terms of competitors then, for example, if you, right now, there's no competitors, so you're going for a niche in the market, are you going to put down who you think the competitors will be?
Yeah. And not only who you think, but then you're going to appraise their social media footprint. You're going to look at their LinkedIn profiles and talk about what they do. You're going to look at their social media activity, and in your opinion, what's strong about them, what's weak about them. So we use the SWOT framework as a way to say that's what's really good about their profiles. That's where their weaknesses are, and those weaknesses end up becoming our opportunities.
But would you have to do a SWOT, 10 SWOT?
Just bullet point next to it, yeah. But at the end of it, what you end up with, the reason why we're doing the competition is that you have your personal benchmarks. So looking at the competition, you know they're at a certain level based on your appraisal. That gives you an insight in terms of what you need to do better. Yeah? That's the whole purpose of looking at your competitors. You know what you need to do in order to compete. Did you have a question?
100% regarding the SWOT. So you're saying that we need to do the seminar, you were saying that we can use festivals, SWOT and stuff like that. So can we write something about it in the resume, not that we have to actually talk about everything? Because ideally we have 25 minutes and I think by the time we do everything it will be more than.
Right, so you wouldn't, this is where you need to start to think about, I've got this amount of time. Yes, we're asking you 10 competitors, but you don't need to go through, talk us through 10 of them. You can just highlight the ones that you want to focus on, the ones that are really strong, really weak. What's important to us is the personal benchmarks you end up with. It's important that you do 10, because that's what the assignment's asking you to do. But you don't have to talk about those 10. If you talked about everything, you would run out of time. So you have to be really efficient with the time.
Also, you're saying we need to identify top 10, right? So do we need to give the reference of all the top 10 in the presentation that these are the, because we don't have to talk about the whole thing. So do we need to give them as references of all the.
Well, you've got to imagine that you're presenting to people who've never seen, who don't know this, yeah? So you're presenting your deck in a way that you're actually saying, right, as part of my research, so this is where I end up telling you what to do, right? my research, I've looked at 10 competitors. I've highlighted these ones because I want to tell you about them, and because of that, and based on that research, these are my personal benchmarks. These are the things that that's going to inform my digital marketing strategy, my social media profile. So this is where you need to start thinking about, no, you don't talk about everything, but you need to pull out the best bits. You need to decide on what they are and talk it through, because you're presenting this as a concept, and then the implementation.
Okay, just connected with that, since you said that whatever we do, we need to show evidence, so because that's exactly why I asked you, we need to show at least one or two, at least a few more of them, show them, show that these are people who we think are.
You have to show 10. You don't have to talk about 10. So you have to make sure, I'm pointing the board, if this is a presentation, these are PowerPoint slides, there needs to be 10 of them, so what? It's going to be 3 or 4 slides. Yeah? So you need to have the 10 up there, but you don't necessarily have to talk through the 10.
That's what I wanted, so we need to mention, so each and everything we do, we need to make sure we have a reference on it, right?
You absolutely have to have the evidence. You could, otherwise, trust me, there's some chances around who would say, I did all this, but here's my implementation. That's not, well, we would say, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? And when the examiner looks at it, they'll say, you've given this score, but where's the evidence? There's no proof. You have to prove that you've done the work. You have to show the evidence. You have to do the references. You have to do the in-text referencing. You have to do the referencing at the end. Yeah, in Harvard APA 7th edition. You have to have all that there. But you're presenting this, so you've got to think about how best can I tell my story in an interesting, engaging way. You know, there's about 130 people in total on this module. That everyone's going to be doing 25 minutes of presentations. Do you want to be the 120th person there and imagine what state of mind we're going to be in when we get to that point? Yeah, so you need to engage. You need to capture our attention. How are you going to do that? It might be creative execution of your presentation. It might be, the tone of your voice. But you've got to think about your audience. If it is boring, if it's monotone, if it's like, oh my goodness, I would rather listen to, somebody telling me off, then yeah, come on. Are you going to get the score you need or deserve? We will still have to mark it, but it will be a tough one. Yeah, so think about how you're going to lift it up. Maybe you stand when you present. Maybe you think about how you're going to present this. Yeah, I saw a hand over here. I know I sound a bit harsh, but come on, guys. I've got slides to get through. Yes.
Could you use the bi-persona sprint for the analysis of competitors as well? What they're doing?
You could, but that's kind of going. Stick to your target audience for that. For your competitors, I think that kind of gives it your personal benchmarks. The output of that is really important. But you mentioned pestle, right? So that's really interesting because part of the assignment is looking at your risks, risk management. Yeah. So you need to know what the external factors are that could have an impact on the role or the job that you want, especially if it's in another market or part of the world. Yeah, so we need to understand that pestle in terms of political, economic, social, technological, legal, environmental aspect, because a pestle informs your risk. It helps you identify what those risks are. But for your risk management, we want you to highlight what those risks are and score them 1 to 5, 5 being most risk, 1 not so, or red, amber, green, whichever way you want to go down. But the column that we're really interested in is, well, you've identified those risks, but how are you mitigating for them? That's the bit, once again, it's about you. How do you mitigate those risks? What are you going to do to address them? Okay. Yes.
Okay, so there's a very touchy subject of research, and that comes to play now. I just want to.
Yeah, depending on how you want to, because that's broad, yeah? So is it about bias, unconscious bias in the recruitment process? Is it diversity but lack of real diversity. You know, so you've got to be careful about how you. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. But one of the things, you know, so there are legislations then to try and address some of that. But yeah, you just need to think about how. Just saying racism will not be enough. Yeah. But what is it? Yes. And where is it in your research that you've actually you're saying that actually it's work it is? Okay. Right. Any other questions? I can see you're all now fully versed in what the assignment is. You know what to do. You need to do it. Yeah? So remember, the workshops are the place where we kind of get down and start those assignments. So make sure you use that time effectively to work on your presentations, because there's a lot of work for you to do. But make sure you read this chapter so you know what's being asked of you. Make sure you read this section of the assignment, because that will tell you all the steps that all the things that you need to do. $50 marks for analysis, 25 marks for plan, and 25 marks for your implementation. So the analysis is heavily weighted because there's a lot of work that goes into that. If you think about it, your implementation, in terms of size, the number of slides, and then it's all by the analysis section really, because that's the output of your research. So it's how much research you put in to get your professional digital brand. Okay? Clear? Yes? Show me. Quick show of hands. Who feels more comfortable with the assignment now? Thank you. Who's not feeling uncomfortable? Oh, sorry, that's wrong. Who still feels uncomfortable? Okay. Get started. Oh, Mike, yeah, that's it. Start the analysis, use this as a model, as a framework. Yeah, so make sure you go through that. Okay. Strategic keyword research. Okay, so. So we're going to talk about keyword research, different keyword types, and keyword research. Okay, so before we do start, actually, I mean, like, it's an hour into our session. I just want to make sure, regarding the assignments, that everyone, even if you're kind of holding back a little bit, that who's made to start something already? Yeah. Right. So those who had my workshop is right. So, okay. I'm going to do a few slides here, then we'll have a break. So that we can actually then get our heads straight. So I've just thrown lots of stuff at you regarding the assignment, okay? We've talked about buyer personas, we're going to look into that. We're going to look at search keywords and how we go about that. We know about the assignment, we've been talking about this, we've highlighted bits in yellow, kind of say the things that you need to be doing. But ultimately, the reasons why we are looking at the keywords is to identify those kind of main industry specific skills. So those who are looking for or looking to get a job, where are you going to find examples? Am I asking you to kind of magic them up in your head? Or are you going to use your research and your research skills to identify potential keywords and phrases? That was a question, it wasn't rhetorical. Okay. Research skills, absolutely. So, where are we going to find those keywords and phrases? Sorry, clear. Is that right? This is a presentation on communication skills as well as research. Yeah. Job descriptions. Yes, thank you very much. Right, okay. Where are we going to find those job descriptions? Recruiters, come clearly, come on guys, clearly. Job boards, Indeed, LinkedIn jobs, where else?
The company's website.
The company's websites as well, yes. Right, okay. So that actually allows you to then start to see what type of jobs are out there. Now, if you want to be a production manager, where are you going to look for jobs as a production manager? Oh, you mean you weren't typing up notes for the assignment? Bad. You're bad. Okay. When it says social media marketing, it wasn't about social media, it was. Okay. Alright. So, you know, you need to know where to search. You need to know where to look. Yeah? And you need to find out, because if that's a specific role, whichever role you're going for, strategist, production manager, whatever that job is, by just going to Google and searching, use Google as the tool to pull back the content that you can then use to research. So we've been talking about this, so I'm going to flip through that. Right. Why do I keep on going about keywords? It allows you to identify and then integrate them into your profile. And integrate them in a way that search engines will then most likely start to search for. You know, every time you search and those spiders are going off crawling websites and they're crawling content in the World Wide Web, they're looking for phrases, they're looking for specific terms that relate to that search term that the individual typed in. Now we know as part of the research that recruiters, because you're asked to look at recruitment trends. Yeah, so not just digital and social media marketing trends, but also the latest recruitment trends. Why are we asking you to do that? Because the more you know about that, the easier it is for you to then deliver your profile, yeah, to execute your plan. Because you're now getting in the head and the mindset of a recruiter. Whenever you're selling something, you need to understand and put yourselves in the shoes of the consumer, the end user, be it recruiter, hiring manager, consumer of your products and services. Yeah? You need to understand more about them. So we have to understand the buyers. And that's why we do the buyer persona, use the buyer persona spring, and that's why we create the buyer persona templates. So we can actually pull things together. You know, that they're relevant and specific to the person and the products. Think about, you know, when it comes to intent, if a recruiter is looking for a certain type of individual to fill the gap in their business, remember they've got a problem. In this scenario, you are the solution. If you are the solution, right, then there's things you can do that are in your control to try and be that problem solver for them. But what could they possibly be searching for? You know, you need to think about and put yourself in their space and just think, right, well, what could they be searching for? And by doing my additional bits of research, I can now start to identify keywords and phrases, because if there's a job description relating to a specific post, then that's going to have things listed in there around, you know, they'll talk about the company, this is what, you know, this is who we are as an organization, these are the desirable skills that an individual should have, and these are the essential skills. And those essential skills are the differentiator between whether you get past that kind of first hurdle. Do you have the skills or do you not? It's very clear. So you identify what those essential skills are, and if they do map to your skill set, you know, don't make it up, because they might give you a task to execute something. You know, so you need to make sure you understand what the intent is of the buyer. Yeah? So you've got to ask yourself, what are those phrases, what's their intent? What do they want? Where are they when they search? What device are they searching from? When do they search? Why do they search? Well, we know, you know, this is a need state. They need something. So I'm just trying to link some of this content to the assignment, but you know, think of anyone buying something. Think about things that you bought recently. You know, why did you search for that? And when you start to break it down, you know, it then helps you understand what the buyer, what the client or what the target audience might be going through. But as part of your research, what are you going to find? What do you think you're going to find when you do the latest trends and